What if the moment of death isn't an ending, but awareness stepping through a doorway? For decades, scientists and spiritual teachers have been mapping what happens when consciousness leaves the body. Dr. Raymond Moody's groundbreaking research into near-death experiences has revealed striking patterns. The tunnel of light, the live review, encounters with beings of pure love. But thousands of miles away, Tibetan monks have been creating detailed maps of this same journey for over 1,000 years. Today, we're going to explore how modern near-death research and ancient Tibetan wisdom point to the same profound truth. Awareness continues beyond physical form, and the journey is far more structured than we ever imagined. Before we continue, if you're ready to break free from the repeating patterns that hold you back, check out my free guide, 5 Inner Blocks That Keep You from Deep Spiritual Growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. Dr. Raymond Moody changed everything when he coined the term near-death experience in 1975. After interviewing thousands of people who had clinically died and returned to life, he discovered something remarkable. Their stories followed the same basic pattern, regardless of their culture, religion, or background. The journey typically begins with floating above their physical body, watching doctors try to revive them. Then comes the tunnel, a passage of darkness leading toward an incredibly bright, warm light. This isn't just any light. People describe it as more real than real, filled with unconditional love and understanding. Many encounter deceased relatives or beings of light who communicate without words, sharing pure knowledge and compassion. The most transformative part is often the live review, a panoramic replay of every moment they lived, but with a twist. They experienced not just their own perspective, but the emotions and impact they had on every person they encountered. It's like seeing through the eyes of everyone they've ever met. This review isn't about judgment or punishment. It's about learning and understanding the interconnectedness of life. What's fascinating is how closely this matches ancient Tibetan teachings about the bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth. For over a millennium, Tibetan Buddhism has described death as a journey through different levels of consciousness, each with specific characteristics and opportunities. According to Tibetan texts like the famous Book of the Dead, when the body dies, consciousness goes through 8 stages of dissolution. The first 4 involve the breakdown of the physical elements: earth, water, fire, and air. As each element dissolves, the dying person experiences specific visions: mirages, smoke, fireflies, and finally a flickering candle flame. But the real journey begins with the next 4 stages, the dissolution of consciousness itself. The mind moves through progressively subtle states, experiencing visions of white light like an autumn sky, red light like sunset, and then deep blackness. Finally comes what Tibetans call the clear light of death, the most fundamental level of awareness, pure and luminous. This clear light sounds remarkably similar to what near-death experiences describe. Both traditions speak of light that isn't just bright, but intelligent, loving, and more real than ordinary reality. The Tibetan teachings explain this as the mind recognizing its own true nature, the luminous awareness that has always been present but hidden by thoughts and emotions. What makes this comparison even more intriguing is how both describe what happens next. Moody's research shows that people often encounter spiritual beings who guide them through the experience. Similarly, Tibetan texts describe meeting peaceful and wrathful deities during the Bardo state. But here's the key insight both traditions share. These beings aren't external entities. They are projections of consciousness itself, aspects of the mind's own wisdom and compassion. The live review in near-death experiences mirrors what Tibetans call the karmic review, where the consciousness witnesses all its actions and their effects. Both describe this as educational rather than punitive, a chance to understand how our choices ripple through the web of existence. Perhaps more importantly, both traditions emphasize that this isn't the end of the story. The light isn't the final destination. It's a transition point where consciousness prepares for its next phase of existence. In Dr. Moody's research, one of the most profound aspects of near-death experiences involves encounters with beings of pure light. These aren't ordinary spirits or ghosts, but entities that radiate unconditional love and wisdom. Experiences describe them as more real than any person they've ever met in physical life. These beings often conduct the live review, helping the person understand their actions without judgment, only with compassion and guidance. What's remarkable is that these beings seem to know everything about the person's life, yet they communicate pure acceptance. They don't speak with words, but transmit understanding directly into consciousness. Many people report that these encounters fundamentally change their understanding of love, showing them what unconditional acceptance truly means. The Tibetan tradition offers a fascinating parallel through its description of peaceful and wrathful deities encountered in the Bardo. At first glance, this might seem completely different from Moody's findings. The Tibetan texts describe elaborate visions of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and fierce protective deities with multiple arms and heads, often appearing terrifying to the unprepared consciousness. But here's where both traditions converge on a profound truth. These beings aren't separate entities at all. They're projections of consciousness itself. The Tibetan teachings explicitly state that all the deities encountered in the Bardo are manifestations of the mind's own wisdom and compassion. The peaceful deities represent the mind's natural loving awareness, while the wrathful ones embody its protective and transformative power. This understanding completely reframes what's happening in both experiences. The beings of light in near-death experiences and the deities in the Bardo are different cultural expressions of the same phenomenon, consciousness recognizing aspects of its own enlightened nature. When someone encounters a being of pure love during an NDE, they're meeting the compassionate aspect of their own deepest awareness. The live review takes on new meaning in this context. Both traditions describe this as seeing through the eyes of others, experiencing how our actions affected every person we encountered. But it's not an external judgment, it's consciousness examining itself with complete honesty and compassion. The beings facilitating this review aren't judges, but teachers, helping awareness understand the interconnected nature of all existence. In Tibetan teachings, this is explained through the concept of karma playing out in real time. Every action creates ripples through the web of existence, and in the Bardo state, consciousness can perceive these connections clearly. The review isn't about punishment, but about education, understanding how love creates more love and how harm perpetuates suffering. Both traditions emphasize that how we respond to these encounters determines what happens next. In near-death experiences, people often describe having a choice to stay in the light or return to physical life. Similarly, Tibetan teachings explain that recognizing the true nature of the Bardo deities can lead to liberation, while being frightened or confused by them continues the cycle of rebirth. The key insight from both perspectives is that these encounters reveal something fundamental about consciousness itself. We are not separate individuals meeting external spiritual beings. We are awareness recognizing its own limitless, loving nature. The beings of light and the Bardo deities are mirrors, showing us what we truly are, beneath all the layers of identity and conditioning. This recognition transforms the entire death experience from something to be feared into an opportunity for awakening. Both Moody's research and Tibetan wisdom suggest that death offers consciousness a chance to see through the illusion of separation and recognize its true nature as boundless awareness. But this expanded awareness doesn't last forever. Both near-death experiences and Tibetan teachings describe forces that pull consciousness toward embodiment again. In Moody's research, people often report being told, "It's not your time," or feeling drawn back to their body by unfinished business or love for family members. The Tibetan tradition offers a more detailed explanation through the concept of karmic winds, the momentum created by past actions that shapes where consciousness goes next. These aren't literal winds, but the psychological and energetic patterns that draw awareness towards specific experiences and forms of life. According to Tibetan teachings, consciousness in the Bardo state is like a feather blown by these karmic winds. The habits, desires, and attachments formed during life create a magnetic pull towards situations that match those patterns. Someone with strong family attachments might be drawn back to human birth, while deep anger could pull consciousness toward more turbulent realms of existence. Near-death experiencers often describe similar phenomena, though in different terms. They speak of being drawn back to their body by love for their children, a sense of mission unfulfilled, or simply not being ready to let go of physical existence. This aligns perfectly with the Tibetan understanding that attachment and unfinished emotional business create the momentum for return. Both traditions recognize that consciousness naturally seeks embodiment. It's not a failure or punishment, but part of the fundamental nature of awareness to express itself through form. The difference lies in whether this return happens unconsciously, driven by old patterns, or consciously, chosen from wisdom and compassion. The Tibetan teachings describe specific signs that indicate where consciousness will take rebirth. Visions of different realms, attraction to certain types of beings, or particular emotional states that arise in the Bardo. These signs reflect the karmic patterns that will shape the next lifetime. What's profound is that both traditions suggest that continuity isn't the personality, but the awareness itself. Think of it this way. The personality you know as you, your memories, preferences, and individual identity doesn't continue as is. What does continue is something deeper, the pure awareness that was always behind your thoughts and experiences. This core consciousness carries forward the patterns and momentum created by how you lived, but through entirely new forms of existence. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, remember that free download I mentioned, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. Both modern near-death research and ancient Tibetan wisdom point to the same remarkable truth. Consciousness doesn't end when the body stops. Whether we call it the tunnel of light or the clear light of death, awareness continues its journey through realms beyond physical form. These maps of consciousness remind us that death isn't an ending but a transformation. And you, the awareness hearing these words right now, are far more vast and enduring than we ever imagined.